So, thank
Woo! That was different. So while I get set up here, what do you guys think of this guy's speech? All right. I just want to let you guys know I take 100% credit for everything he just did up there.
So I will say, so the joke about the pimple, which unfortunately I have, but whatever, everyone has it. He told me, he's like, dude, if you start your public speaking gigs with a joke, it automatically everybody's more bought in and engaged, you're more authentic and whatever. So amazing advice. And that's just 1%, not even 1% of what we learned last time he did his
joke questions. I definitely don't take this guy's incredible at what he does, but it's also really cool to see. We hosted this event 2 weeks ago now, and the level of improvement that Andres has just by taking a few of the pointers that we're going to talk about today is freaking incredible. Yep. So thank you, Andres, for sharing the wisdom, sharing the love, man. So I'm going to start us off today. We got a long time together, guys. So this is a marathon and a sprint. It was really interesting though, when I walked in, you know, the first question I asked at the front desk was, where's the cult meeting? And she laughed and she's like, which one? And I was like, I'm confused. And she's like, no, it's on the 9th floor. And I'm like, that's weird because she doesn't even know we're about to do a blood ritual. So you can definitely volunteer. So I'd like to get to know the audience a little bit before we get going here. Who here at some point in their career has had a fear of public speaking, by a show of hands? Anyone have a fear of public speaking? Anyone here want to get better at public speaking over the next few years? And who here would say that public speaking could add millions of dollars to the bottom line over the next few years? Yeah? Most people in the room. Awesome. Well, in a few hours, I'm going to bring some of you up here and you're actually going to present. And if you have to shit your pants, just know this place is really, really sustainable toilet paper. So we're good to go. So over the next 12 minutes, I'm going to run through a masterclass. Then we're going to take a short coffee break for about 15 minutes, grab some food. And then we're going to do a 90-minute workshop where I'm actually going to help every single person in this room build their keynote. My goal over those 90 minutes is that all 30 people in this room walk out with their keynote. How's that sound? Yeah. You good? There we go, guys. I love the enthusiasm. So you guys might be asking yourselves about that feeling right before you get on stage. Anyone here ever felt nervous or anxious before a speech, presentation, webinar? He basically shit his pants. Anyone have that feeling? It's horrible. And one of the reframes that I use is that nervous feeling is really a feeling of excitement. For me, I had a really bad stutter as a kid. So when people ask me how I became a good public speaker, I did speech therapy, I did stage acting. I was the worst communicator in pretty much every room that I ever walked in. And this is the reason why I was great. And as I was building this slide, I really challenged myself to think through all those times that I spoke when I failed. Like I ran for vice president in 4th grade and had to give a speech to the whole elementary school as a kid with a stutter. I lost. I've had to give speeches throughout my life where I didn't succeed. And this is the reason why I've gotten really good at communication, is because I failed 10,000 times. So for those in the room who have a lack of confidence in their public speaking capabilities, just know you get better over time. And there's no such thing as perfect communication. So why do most speakers fail? Because they don't try. They do all the things that I'm about to tell you not to do. They get stuck in their head. They're focused on themselves. And really the best part of public speaking is really focusing on the audience. When you're focused on yourself, you're in your head. How do I look? How do I sound? How am I presenting? You're focused on me. This is what I call a case of the me-me's. What you want is a case of the wee-wees. Not this wee-wee, right? You want a case of the wee-wees where you're focused on the people in the audience, because when you're focused on giving, when you're focused on providing value, that's when you're the most natural version of yourself. So this is my list of never-evers. I'm launching a course in a little bit. This is a whole module. So I stuck a whole module into one single slide. But a lot of times people focus on, they put their hands in their pocket because they're nervous. My rule of thumb is the only thing worse than 2 hands in the pocket is 1 hand in the pocket, because you're not cool with 1 hand in the pocket. Poor posture, they shrink themselves. If you have poor posture, what happens? Can you control your breathing? Yes or no? No. When you can't control your breathing, can you control your emotional state? Yes or no? If you can't control your emotional state, can you control the audience's emotional state? Yes or no? So you can see how poor posture now leads to bad communication. This slide is probably the quickest snapshot in how to fuck up. So if you just do everything that's not on this slide, you're already off to a great start. The 3 key ingredients to master public speaking. What's really interesting, when I did this event with Andres about 2 weeks ago, I had a 5-part framework here. And what I always challenge myself to do, my rule of thumb with any presentation, is anything as long as it's better. Now, the 5-part framework was really difficult to understand. And so what we're going to talk about today really quickly is the psychology, the structure, and the engagement of public speaking. And then our 90-minute workshop is just going to be focused on the structure, how to do your introduction, how to create compelling stories, how to create a framework, and how to deliver an offer. So when it comes to the psychology of speaking, this is something that a lot of people miss. And there's a couple of people in the room who have seen this slide before, or a version of the slide. Most people don't realize that public speaking starts up here. Where do the words start? They start in your brain. They don't even start in your prefrontal cortex. They start deep, deep down in your midbrain. And so when people in the crowd that said that they get nervous, how many people in the crowd said that they get nervous before public speaking? Pretty much everyone. So what happens is people that identify as introverted, they don't identify as a good speaker. And this is something that I was talking about with Scott. Go look at the person who, like the nerdiest nerd in nerd history, the Minkus that you know, the Dungeons and Dragons guy. That guy's really introverted, right? But you put the Dungeons and Dragons guy at a Dungeons and Dragons conference and what happens? He's bright, he's vivacious, he's talking about all the things that he loves and cares about with people that he knows really well. And so one of the best public speaking hacks is to just think, I'm chatting with friends about topics that I love. Because when you're chatting with friends about topics that you love, you're not performative, you're not trying to put on a show for people, you're just genuinely enthusiastic about the topic, and that's being conveyed in the message that you're sharing. I'm not nervous, I'm excited. Every single person in the crowd here said that they get nervous. The trick is that nervousness and excitement in the human brain, they show up the exact same way. Same parts of the brain, same neurotransmitters. What you have to do is figure out how to reframe that nervousness as excitement. I've done 10,000 speeches. I still get nervous. You guys didn't see me. I was behind there. I was warming up my energy field, my biofield. I'm getting primed and I'm getting ready to deliver a presentation to provide and maximize value here. Your job is to transmute certainty. That's everything. All sales, all marketing. If you're not transmuting certainty, if I'm leaning up against the wall over here and I'm not really sure if what I'm saying is true or false, then how am I going to convince you to take action on the things that you need to take action to propel your life forward? It's impossible. So your goal on stage is to transmute certainty. Authentic communication is probably one of the most important concepts that we'll cover today. Do not try to be the next Tony Robbins. Don't try to be the next me. Your job is to be the best you possible. You're never going to be a perfect communicator unless you're being authentic. Authentic communication is the only way you can master public speaking. If you try to be the best me, you're going to be a second-rate me. If you try to be the best you, no one can be a better you than you. And then, of course, congruence, where your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions are all heading in the same direction. This aligns with the fourth point, where your job is to transmute certainty. If my thoughts are on my ex-girlfriend, and my words, my actions are here in the room, is that congruent? Yes or no? Absolutely not, right? So what we need is someone whose thoughts, words, feelings, actions, emotions are all heading in the same direction. We can sense that incongruency in people. So it's really important that you become congruent to master the psychology of speaking. This is what we're going to cover in our 90-minute workshop. I'm just going to quickly cover this today. This is what every presentation is, every keynote. Now, if you're delivering an investor presentation, it might be a little different. If you're doing a webinar, if you're doing a 1-minute reel on YouTube or Instagram, it's going to be a bit different. But what you want is an intro where you're driving jokes, emotions, questions, ideas, or promises. You want to develop some compelling stories that's kind of split into 3 main categories: origin stories, struggle stories, and transformation stories. You want to create a logical structure for the audience and the presenter, easy for you to remember and easy for the audience to transmute. A good rule of thumb is, can the audience member go to their friends the next day at the water cooler and repeat your framework back to them? If they can't do it, it's too complicated. And then, of course, the offer. And we're going to cover offers in the workshop, and I'm going to have you guys workshop with people in the audience to make sure that you can communicate your offer with clarity. So if you're looking to engage, you really need to focus on the 2 most important people, yourself and the audience. If you're going to engage yourself, you have to focus on your body, your vocal cords, your biomagnetic field, which is one I don't think we have time to cover today, and I'm going to look like a crackhead if I try to cover it, and your mindset. You guys have to remember, you're not just communicating with your words. What is communication? It's 55% body language, 37%, I think it's emotion, and then tone, and then 7% your words, right? So we all have biomagnetic fields. We're all emitting electromagnetic frequencies. Your aura, that's the woo-woo way to say it, right? But our auras are interacting right now. And so if you don't warm up your aura, if you don't warm up your biomagnetic fields, then you're not conveying that energy that people can see without actually seeing it. And of course, the audience, you got to project your voice. Quartering the room is a really simple tactic. I've split this room into quarters so that it makes everyone in the audience feel Like I'm making eye contact with them. This works in a room of 30 people. It works in a room of 30,000 people. So quartering the room is super helpful. If you want the audience to really listen and tap in, stop using the jargon, communicate in a 3rd to 5th grade language. This is unfortunately, not to get political, why the president of the United States is the president of the United States, because he knows how to communicate in a 3rd to 5th grade language, regardless of what we think about him. We cut out the jargon, make sure that everyone can understand what we're saying. When you use jargon, it makes you feel good because you sound smart. It doesn't make the audience feel good because they feel stupid. When the audience feels stupid, what happens? Their cognitive load goes up. When their cognitive load goes up, what do? They don't want to do business with you because you've made them feel incompetent. And of course, the best way to be the most interesting person in the room is to be the most interested person in the room. I'm interested in every single one of your stories, your frameworks, your introductions, your offers. I'm going to get to know each of you individually today so that we can walk out of here and every single person has their keynote completely framed out. So my offer to you is if you go all out over the next 90 minutes, you're going to get more value out of this next workshop than you will have ever gotten in any form of communication or public speaking ever. But what I need from every single person in this room is I need you to play full out. I need you to not eat too much so that you're not in a food coma and I don't have to wake your ass up with electrodes. Yeah. Okay? I need every single person to show back up here in 15 minutes, play full the fuck out, because if you play full out, you're gonna get more out of this next workshop that we're about to do together than you've ever got in any programming in your entire life. Thank you guys.
You crushed that.
Thanks, bro.
Oh, you're so good at speaking. I can really feel the sincereness coming off of you,
Thank
and
you,
I'm
bro.
so excited for this workshop.